I think the votes on there were about the questions, how many questions you had.
Maybe. So today's Friday, May 12th. I will have an open office hour time at 2 o'clock. If you have any questions on the math for this week or the social studies assignment that's due today, you have assignment 502 due today for social studies. It was that big chart where you had to take notes on the Constitution and then write a letter to someone in another country explaining what our Constitution is. And if you don't know what the Constitution is, then you haven't read the lesson. Because the Constitution is the law of our land that came out after the revolution. They decided that they needed to come up with some better laws. So then also this morning, we have a new lesson, 1202 in language arts, that I'll look at in just a second really quickly. And it's not due. Oh yeah, the quiz is due today on 1202. So you're just reading that chapter and doing the quiz. You should expect an email today. So you are one of three categories. Either you're a kid who signed up to take the state test online, and I'm going to send you a letter explaining everything about that and how that's going to work. So next week, we're going to have half as many Zoom sessions. You'll have the morning 8:30 session will be normal, kind of normal, because we're also doing what's her name's laws. I can't even think of that girl's name. Anyway, the whole like sexual protection law that was, I'm having a brain freeze on what's her name. It's not Megan's Act, is it? Anyway, it's all about keeping yourself safe. And then also the health ed sex education is next week. Yay! And so in the morning, we'll be doing those lessons. If you don't want to look at Megan shaking her head like, no, you can keep your screen off. You don't have to talk, but I have to teach them. I have to read them from a script. So that's the way it goes. And then at 10 o'clock, we'll be doing testing. I've actually pre-recorded some math lessons for next week. So you'll be watching the math lesson online in your free time and doing the math independently without my help. And then at 12:20, we will have another testing session. So there'll be 2 testing sessions a day. That way, if you want to do just like 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, you can. You'll be logging on to, I'll send you a video with directions on how to log on. And then at 2 o'clock every day, it'll be like a session for me to answer questions, teach anything that you need taught, and help out. So you'll have a Zoom session first thing in the morning and then at 2 o'clock. And then the testing will be the 2 middle sessions of the day. If you are not signed up for online testing, so if your parents did not fill out the permission form saying you can test online, then you can't test online. And unless you opted out of the testing, which I only had one student do that, then you are supposed to go in person next week to Flex to take the test. So I'll send you information on that. If you don't go into Flex to take the test, what happens? Nothing. It looks bad for our school. It's called non-participation. But it's really, it's not like anybody's going to come knocking on your door and arrest you. So that's the way that goes. We have 2 weeks of that. So for 2 weeks, that's the way class is going to go. You're going to have half as many Zoom sessions, just morning and then afternoon. And then the middle of the day will be testing. If you finish your reading test in one day, then you won't have to log in the next days. You can just work on homework. If you are not taking tests, you still have to do everything on the agenda. Yes, Mila.
This doesn't have anything to do with testing, but I was gonna ask if you sent that email for like choosing classes for next year to my dad.
Yeah, we sent it. The administration sent it to you guys and to you, I think. So call Flex if you still don't have it, but you should have it. They sent it to you and to Evie.
And then I also have another question.
Yep.
Do we have book club today?
You don't know because it's the other day. So it's a B day.
Okay.
You had art yesterday. Megan.
I was wondering how long, like how many days we were going to be taught health class and all that stuff.
It's like 2 weeks. And what you can do is if you don't want to be there in person, you can watch the videos. I'll record everything. That way you can fast forward and not have the horrible embarrassment of having to listen to it with other people in the room. Believe me, most teachers, it's not our favorite thing to teach. Amadi, but it's important. No big deal.
Can you Can you repeat what you said after you said testing was at the middle of the day? My brother was screaming when he said
Yeah,
that.
so I'll be sending you an email today with details about testing, and it will have all the session numbers and all the times. But for 2 weeks, you'll only have the Zoom, the normal Zoom in the morning, and then you'll have 2 testing sessions every day. If you finish, like, let's say you finish the reading test early, then you just won't Zoom in until like Wednesday when we start the math test. Okay? So there'll be specific sessions set up for specific types of testing. And if you finish early, you just don't have to come to that next session, and you can just work on your homework. So we'll kind of have 2 things going on. So that's the first group. So the first group is testing remotely. The second group is testing in person, and the third group are not testing, but you still need to go on and look at the agenda and do your homework, and come to the 2 o'clock meeting if you need any help. Okay? So we've got kind of 2 crazy weeks coming up. Remember, I slowed down the curriculum so there wouldn't be as much. So it should feel that way. It should feel like it's not overwhelming. Except for math. I know math keeps going because we're trying to get you guys through more of the math topics before you have to take the test. So any other questions? All right, so you now have like 4 minutes before specials. At 10 o'clock today, I'll be on teaching a new math lesson, and I'll also go through the language arts lesson a little bit, just because I forgot to do that this morning. Well, I didn't forget, I just didn't have time. Okay, if you have any questions, you can stay with me, but otherwise take off. I'll see you guys at 10 o'clock. Christian, what's your question?
The